virtual outreach with 7 participants that were referred to us from Alpha Academy. So that's where we are with Meetings Forward. It's a lot of moving pieces, but we're actually seeing it come together.
I'm glad to hear all of that. Does anybody have any questions for either Ashley or Victoria?
No, but I do want to say, Victoria, it's good to hear your voice and welcome back.
Thank you, Tana. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we know young people gather in the mall, so I'm going to be talking to you about that again.
Okay, I'm here.
Cool. So our next agenda item is discussion topics, and I guess we can kind of sort of combine those with questions, comments, and updates. But does anybody have a topic to discuss that's not specific on the agenda?
I really want us to look a little bit closer at platforms for virtual services. COVID is going to be like, it's going to be with us. COVID is going nowhere. And we want to be able to provide a wider range of services that still feels like the customers in the career center, like they're still gathered. So I really want us to look to start to zoom in on what the virtual platform would look like and what we can use it to do. Because, you know, when we know young adults are attracted to the word incentive. You say that word and we've used, like for instance, we've used leadership symposium in the past and use it to enroll our numbers, because in order to get an incentive, say, of $50, you will have to enroll in WIOA in order to participate in the symposium and get the $50. You can participate without enrollment, but you won't get the $50. And those kind of activities will boost our enrollment numbers, and I'd like us to be able to do that again.
I think so too. Is there anything specific that we as youth and young adult committee members can assist with?
Hey, Kevin, this is Charlene.
Yes. Hey, Charlene.
Hey, it's a comment on what Victoria just said about the incentives. I've always been a really big supporter of incentives for the young people. It's been successful because if you tie something into it for them, that's where you get the participation. And also, I just wanted to just put out a reminder that we also have pre-apprenticeship programs, which is a platform to lead to registered apprenticeship. And we did have the pilot program this past fall, I believe, with ISG for some students. So this is for you, Victoria.
Yes.
You might want to follow up with that because there were quite a few students that were in there. And yeah, just might want to follow up. I mean, we can talk offline about it. Dr. Morris and some other people that were involved. Tony Marshall, who was his company, and that type of thing. So there's some.
And I have a comment. Is there something specific that we need to do as a committee? Or maybe Tracy, you can answer this. What do we need to do to be able to do these incentives for the youth? Is there something special that has to be done? Or is it a decision the staff can make?
So I would say there's a couple of things that are at play that are kind of happening as we transition. Obviously, 2 Hawk is here as our new services provider. This started July 1st, and we had a gap in service when we terminated the relationship with the previous provider. But we also had COVID. So there's a couple of major impacts to our career center that have put us on a different path. So I think I agree in the sense that we got to look at the things that are going to draw in the young people. That's always been an issue. If incentives are one of those things that help us, we can look at that. At the end of the day, it also boils down to the funding that's available and how it's applied, how it's used. The other offshoot here was a discussion about virtual platforms. I agree. I think that's very important. I know we've had some conversations about that. We've also got to make sure that whatever we use is compliant with DWS's rules and regulations. So there's some hoops we have to jump through, some research we have to do. But incentives I think are good for us to discuss and to look at as we piece together these programs and get them back up and running. So how we get that started, I would have to ask staff to kind of give us maybe a little feedback about how it's been done in the past and what the potential is for the future. So if that's something Peggy can answer or.
Sorry. That would be in conversation with Tupac to determine what would be the best method in terms of efficiency. To go through the county itself. There's obviously protocols that have to be followed, as with any federally funded program. And so we're just researching multiple options to find out what would be the most effective and efficient way to obtain those virtual platform services.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Peggy. I think that those two items, the incentives and the virtual platform, are two items we need to keep on the agenda so we can make sure that they both happen. Because even as an adult, there are times I wouldn't have gone to a meeting if I couldn't do it virtually. Like right now, I can't drive at this time, and if I couldn't do a meeting virtually, I just wouldn't have been able to attend. So I think those two items, incentives and virtual platform, are two big topics we need to keep at the top of the agenda.
I agree, Dina. This is Charlene. And the other thing to keep in mind as well is when you talk about those virtual platforms, was to follow up to make sure that those young people have access to a phone, a cell phone, a tablet, a laptop, a hotspot, or whatever, so they can participate in these virtual platforms. Because as a reminder, the county is really, really big, and it spreads out really, really far in some rural areas, and there may not be those type of they may not have access to some of that. So just to follow up and stay on top of that. No, I think the idea is great.
Yep, I agree with you, Charlene.
This is Lori. I would like to add something to that. Cumberland County Schools has put to assure that all of the Cumberland County students have access to virtual learning. They put school buses with hotspots in neighborhoods. So it's very likely that your participants will also take advantage or be able to take advantage to those hotspots in their communities because of the school buses provided from CCS.
Great.
Thank you for sharing that, Lori. That's awesome news.
My pleasure.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Charlene, you brought up a good point, because I was thinking about the people that are in some of the rural areas as far as having that access. So that is something for us to keep in mind.
Right. Great for the school systems, but remember, the young people go up to 24. So we can't just assume that somebody that's 21, 22, 23 has access as well.
That, which would be in the out of school category.
Correct.
But if they live in those areas where those buses are parked, then they would have access. So then the next question would be, how do we let people know that aren't Cumberland County School students that they do have a hotspot?
Yeah, would that come through a partnership that we have with Cumberland County Schools, and would we have to go through them to let them know who these people would be that would be trying to access that those hotspots? And does that make things murkier?
I will check with Chip. I don't know the answer to that for sure, but I will discuss that with him. It seems like that if the buses are already there, that you might be able to just tell your participants about that. But let me check with Chip to be sure, and I'll report back.
Okay, great. Thank you, Nori.
Okay. And I just have one more question. I guess this will be to Victoria. When we are seeking participants to be in these virtual sessions, they will register, I'm thinking, right? So this wouldn't be something that we've just put out there and a person sees it and they can just jump on without us having some sort of registration on prior to who they are?
No. So for instance, the orientation that is being facilitated at 1 o'clock today, so we we're using the Career Center's Zoom. So we send them an invite, a link. You don't need to have a Zoom account to participate in an activity. You only, in order for you to initiate an activity, you will need a Zoom account, but you don't need to have a Zoom account to participate. So we send the participants an invite and they attend.
Okay, gotcha. Any more questions or comments?
This is Lindsay. I would like to say something, please, if I may. We have, through some of our other contracts, and we can work with Peggy and the team on this, but we do have access to various programs that the state has approved for virtual services, as well as our incentive policies that we've used in other areas. So we'll be happy to do whatever we can to help move forward on this.
Awesome.
Cool. You said that's a state program, right?
There's some that the state IT department has recommended that be used. Yes, sir, just for the security.
Okay. All right, questions, comments? If not, we'll remind everyone, including myself, of our overall Workforce Development Board meeting that's coming up on Tuesday. That's in 2 weeks. At 11 a.m. That's all virtual. Am I correct, Ms. McCoy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so do we still not have enough people for a quorum to go back and approve the minutes from our last meeting?
We do not.
Okay. So we're going to be doubling that on our next meeting, and which will be on November 6th, also virtual. And if we don't have any comments or questions, I open the floor for meeting adjournment. We need a motion for that.
This is Dr. Brown. I can make that motion.
Thanks, Doc. Give a second.
I can second.
Thank you, Dana. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Everyone have a safe weekend, nice, somewhat of a Labor Day holiday. And we'll see you on the other side.
Thanks, Kevin. Awesome
Thanks a
meeting.
lot.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kevin.
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.